Good morning, everyone. A couple of items that we'll go over, a couple of the ground rules in a minute, but first, would the clerk call the roll? Clerk, close the roll.
You have a quorum, Mr. Chair.
Great, thank you. Just a couple of items. One, I appreciate all the House patrons coming. There was a couple of questions that some of you had about whether you needed to be here or don't be here. I know rules are a little different. We are as deferential as we possibly can do. Couple of items. One, just because your bill passed 99-0 doesn't mean you don't have to come. You still have to, because we need to decide. We like y'all, but
Killed some of them.
but if we had to kill it, we'll do it very nicely, and we'll smile at you as we do it. The other item is, if you go before subcommittee, in general, you don't need to come back after you go before subcommittee. And if we're going to change and do damage to your bill, we'll try to let you know. Because we only have two meetings, and this committee has more bills even than courts coming over, thank you for that. We have got very little time. I think we've got an average about 50 bills a day for 2 days. Next, we do have an interpreter that's going to be up today. We're delighted for that. As always, I anticipate there will be overflow in the other room if you need to do that. We are going to go through the bills in this order. One, we're going to re-refer bills, and we're going to send some bills directly up to finance. We're going to deal with all the identical bills. And then I'm sure every member has reviewed all the similar bills. I think we have a plan for those. We don't need you to testify on those if you don't want to. We will then have some of the similar bills that failed. We'll deal with those, and then we'll go to the sign-up sheet. With that, we can maybe begin this process. So first, if the committee would turn their attention to two bills. One is House Bill 2119, which we actually, it was similar to Senator Barker's bill, and also 2142. Those two bills were accidentally referred to this committee and needs to be referred to courts. So is there a motion to re-refer those bills? There's a motion in a second that we re-refer those bills to courts. All those in favor record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 14, nays 0.
14-0, the bills are re-referred. Next up, we have two bills that were referred directly to finance. Those bills were House Bill 1611, Senator Landis, your bill, and also 2306, also Delegate Landis. Those bills will go directly to the Committee on Finance. Is there a motion to send those directly to Finance? So motion and a second, those bills be referred to Finance. All those in favor record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
15-0, those bills are re-referred. Next up, we have our identical bills, and they include the following. One is House Bill 1732, Delegate McQuinn's bill, which is identical to my bill. Next is 1737, which is Delegate Wright's bill. That is identical to my bill. These are school safety type bills. The next bill is 1743, Delegate Bolivar's bill, that is identical to Senator Dance's bill regarding disposal of medicine. The next is 1952, which is Delegate Campbell's bill, which is related to patient health care teams. That's identical, Mark, to your bill, Mark Peake's bill. The next one is 2217, which is Delegate Bourne's bill, which is identical to the Sturdivant bill related to micro-credentialing. The last one is 2693, which is Delegate Price's bill. It's identical to a Barker bill regarding qualifications for mental health professionals. I'd like to see if we could get a motion that can we roll all those together? That we have a single motion that the bills be reported to the floor. All those in favor will, if you close the roll. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll. Okay. Ayes 15 noes, 0. The bills are reported. If you need a recap on those numbers, it's fine. Now, we're going to go to the similar bills, and just for those in the audience and maybe those that are watching this, we are going to move fairly quickly today, but we are moving quickly on what I consider to be the easier bills. So if you will, today, we've got some complex stuff that the House was kind enough to send to us, but we're going to try to take that up tomorrow or through subcommittee. So, all right, so here we are. Delegate Gilbert has a bill. Delegate Gilbert, are you here? Why don't you give us the difference, and I want to maybe suggest a halfway point and see if you're okay with that, sir.
I'm not familiar, if there is a Senate
I'll let you know. Would you
version.
just tell us again what your bill is? I'll give you an idea, and we'll
Yes,
see
sir,
if we got it.
sure
Yeah.
thing. My bill is a work product of our select committee.
The bill is 1733.
Select Committee on School Safety that we conducted over several months in the House on a bipartisan basis. It would require local school boards to enter into memoranda of understanding with their respective police and sheriff's agencies who provide school resource officers. We felt that, or what we learned was that more often than we would expect, there is misunderstanding about what the respective expectations and roles are between the school and the school resource officer, and this would provide some clarity in that regard. It requires a review every 5 years or at the request of either entity, Mr. Chairman.
So Delegate Gilbert, and this may be up to you, we can conform or there's another way. My bill basically did it a little differently. We basically said that the board would come up with a policy and it would be adopted by the locals. Yours basically has the locals working on this. And the thought was that maybe the board could come up with a model policy that would be considered by the locals, but they would only be a model for them to consider. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, sir. And
Okay.
certainly, it's the committee's pleasure. Obviously, we're always, for good or bad, happy with our own work product, and I can't speak to what the collective will of the body would be, but certainly, however we get there, I think it's important to have this clarity, so.
Perfect. So I'm hoping this is I think you made some points, we made some points. I was hoping to avoid conference, but if you can't, it's okay. Y'all can
Okay.
do this to my bill.
Well, if you're asking me my honest request, we'd certainly like the bill in its current form, but because it is a work product of a committee
Got
that
it.
I'm carrying on their behalf, and so I don't know that I'm at liberty to just
Perfect.
change that at midstream, but again, the pleasure of the committee.
Okay. Tom, you have that amendment. Is there a motion on the substitute? Motion is second that substitute be adopted. All those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute's agreed to. Is there a motion on the bill as amended? So motion is second that the bill as amended be reported. All those in favor record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Thank you for the courtesy, Mr. Chairman.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
15 to 0, okay. Up next, we have, and here again, just going down the similar list, we have Delegate Sickles' bill. This is the one, Senator Barker, that is very close to yours, and I think we're okay with the House version on this bill. Is that right, sir? All right, guys, on 1870, there's a motion and a second. I think the answer is yes, to reporting the bill. All those in favor will, close the roll. Will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
15 to 0, the bill is reported. Next up is Delegate Kilgore's bill. This is close to the Chafin bill that Senator Donovan and others worked on telemedicine. We're going to conform that to the version that we're, okay, sir? I'm okay. I think that's a good version that we have, sir. Tom, you want to tell us about the conversion?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Delegate Kilgore. It's just a technical difference. Delegate Kilgore's title had 2 words that Senator Chafin's bill did not. That's fine.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be conformed. All those in favor will say aye. Opposed, no. The bills are conformed. Please close the roll. All right, as amended, is there a motion or a second on the, there's a motion and a second that the bill be reported as amended. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah,
Yeas 15, nays 0.
15 to 0. All right, next up is 2 bills by Delegate Bell, Both of them are, I think, okay in the form that came from the House. I think we're going to fix ours up. So first up, we have 1985, and this is the one about the annual collection of data. We talked about this. It was Senator Barker's bill. Senator Barker, you're okay to go this way? Perfect. There's a motion and a second that we report 1985.
Second.
All those in favor record, close the roll, please. Close the roll, please. All those in favor will record your votes aye, those opposed no, and the clerk will close the roll. 15-0, the bill is reported. Next up, Delegate Bell, we have the child residence, which is 1986. This one, we had a similar, I think we are okay with your version, sir. This one passed out 14-0. It does need to go to finance. Is there a motion second the bill be reported and re-referred to finance? Motion second.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
If I could, and
Yeah.
I'm fine if you have to refer it up there. The substitute removed the fiscal impact on this bill, so I don't know if they still need to see it or not.
They do, but I think we're going to be okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So the motion second is 1986 be reported and re-referred. All those in favor record your votes aye. Those opposed no. And the clerk will close the roll. 15-0, the bill is reported. Thank you for coming by today.
Thank you, Mr.
Appreciate
Chairman.
that. Next up is Delegate Peace. Delegate Peace had a 2018. This has the amendment we put on the floor of Delegate McClellan related to work-based learning. I think we'll recall that amendment on the floor that Delegate Senator McClellan requested. This makes it conforming and is in good shape now as it is. That went out of here 15-0. Is there a motion on the bill? There's a motion and a second that 2018 be reported. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed no. And the bill, clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
15-0, the bill is reported. Next up is Delegate Mieri's bill, which is 2173. I'm going to slow down just enough to say that you'll recall that we had Senator Peterson's bill related to public comment for higher education. The desire is that we conform this bill to the Peterson bill, and then there's another bill coming along further that has the Landis language, and we'll deal with that one in just a minute. But that one we're going to send upstairs, we hope, right? So with that, is there a motion and a second that we conform 2173 to Senate Bill 1118? Delegate, you okay? You good? You good with that? Okay. There's a motion and a second that we conform the bills. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no, and the bills are conformed. Is there a motion on the bill as amended? Motion is second that 2173 be reported as amended. All those in favor record your votes aye. Those opposed, no, and the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
15-0, the bill is reported. Next up is the 2337, which is Delegate Landy's bill. Delegate Landis, this is the bill that we were going to conform the portions related to the Peterson issue, and if the committee so chooses, and then you had additions to that bill, and we'd like to hear what those additions are. We'll vote on the policy here, and then if we do that, then we will send the entire bill upstairs.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Mr. Chairman, the House Education Committee tried not to send too much of your workload, and obviously you've got the health aspect too, but I can't control that. House Bill 2337 sets up a process for institutions of higher learning to provide information regarding a number of things. First is the factors impacting the rates of tuition and fees, and to provide a projected range of that percentage increase and dollar amount for the tuition and fees. The bill also provides that the Board of Visitors will conduct meetings providing that information before any vote is taken on any tuition and fee increases. The bill also requires boards to provide students and the public with an opportunity to comment before voting on the tuition fees. That's the part from the public comments section. that you mentioned. It also requires that the State Council of Higher Education will submit an annual report to the Governor and the General Assembly no later than the first day of each regular session that contains the information and action taken by the boards of visitors related to tuition fees. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, all this is to try to provide some additional transparency before boards of visitors put in place what they're going to have related to their tuition and fee rates, is that the public and more importantly, members of the General Assembly are getting that information, especially parents and students. It doesn't say that they have to, set rates at a certain rate, but it does provide more information. And we tried to sync it up so that before they have the public comment, they would basically, or before they actually have the vote for tuition, they would have a public comment meeting, and before that meeting, they actually produce the information of what they're looking at from the standpoint of the range. We tried to work with the institutions on this. I will tell you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, at the Education Committee, I wanted to make sure that all of our institutions of higher learning that were there were okay with this language. And Virginia Tech said that they were okay as of right now, I think is the way they put it. The University of Virginia said that they were also supportive of transparency. Longwood said they were, Radford, Old Dominion, and James Madison. Not every institution was in the room at the time, but I wanted to try to make sure there wasn't any misunderstanding related to this issue in this bill.
Okay, Mr. Chair.
Senator Peterson.
Let me just ask you, Delegate, the existing law, which passed 2 years ago, and I'll just read it, says, "No governing board of any public institution shall approve an increase in undergrad tuition or fees without providing students and the public a projected range of the planned increase, an explanation of the need for the increase, and notice of the date and location of any vote on such increase at least 30 days prior." That's the existing law. And I know that because it was my bill 2 years ago. So the public comment is clearly new. What else would be new?
Well, I
in your
think
bill?
If you look at it from the standpoint of the House version that came out and it was voted on by the House, Senator, if you look at lines 41 through 59, it's basically setting up a process, so it's a little bit more specific
Okay.
related to the timing of that, and we get a little bit more specific on the rates, looking at the ranges. This is more in line with what they do from the standpoint of their 6-year planning process now. So that, I believe, is not in conflict with this. It just provides a lot more specificity of what they should be providing. Again, to try to look at factors related to market, basically what happened the year before from the academic standpoint. So we tried to put a little bit more language and specificity for transparency sake. So I think it's in line in the direction of what you all accomplished, but just goes a little bit farther.
All right, Senator Peterson, does that answer your question?
Well, and just to summarize, I was looking at the original version. So basically, it's the same principle, it's just more specificity.
Exactly, Senator Peterson.
All right.
All right, guys, if there could be a motion and second that we conformed the part related to the Peterson's bill, all those in favor will say aye. Opposed, no, and that portion be conformed. The other portions that we've talked about are different, and I think the policy needs to be decided here, and then we'll send it up to finance in the event that that's acceptable. Everyone's heard it. Any more questions
Yeah, I
about
guess-
the other items? Senator Peterson.
And obviously, I could not be more of a stronger proponent of this policy because I've been working on it for 3 years at least. I guess my question would be, I don't want to, we're passing several bills here, all in the same code section. I want to make sure they all marry up at the end of the
So
session.
let me tell you what, and you're exactly right. So the other bill, I think it's the Mieri's bill, by the motion we just took, will be exactly the same as it relates to the section of the code you just talked about.
Right.
Public comment.
This will also have the additional portion, which will marry up perfectly, sir, if that's okay with you. Okay. Is there a motion second on the bill to report and re-refer to finance? There's a motion second that the bill be reported and re-referred to finance. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
15-0, the bill is reported and re-referred to finance. Thank you, Delegate.
Thank you, Senator.
Okay, next up, and we only have a few more of these similar bills. We can go through those. The next one is 2445, and that is Delegate Wilt's bill, and it's close to what we sent out of here from Senator McClellan. That related to death certificates. There's some amendments that the House bill had that we're going to accept. would just make the bill functionally better. Is there a motion that we report 2445? Motion second, 2445 be reported. All those in favor record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll. Ayes 15, no zero, the bill is reported. Next up is House Bill 2558. This is Delegate Pillion's bill. It is very close to the Chafin bill that we had earlier. You come forward, and there's a substitute. Is there a motion on the substitute? So motion is second that the substitute be agreed to. All those in favor will say aye. Opposed, no. The substitute's agreed to. And so, Delegate, if you want to just mention the difference between this one and the Chafin bill we sent out earlier, sir.
I think there are just some technical changes in clarifying language, that's all it is.
Tom, is that all we have? Okay, we went over this bill earlier today. This one went out 15-0 without the technical changes. Is there a motion on the bill as amended to report? I'll move it. Motion is second that House Bill 2558 be reported as amended. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
15-0, the bill's reported. Thank you, sir, for coming by. The next bill is a bill which is 2620. This is Mieri's other bill. Is he still in the room?
He just left. Your Honor, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman?
Be a lot that would take issue with that, I should.
Yeah, he left
Senator,
that,
Senator Peterson.
he left that bill with me, and basically the substance on it is it has to do with programs for the governing boards of public education, public institutions, higher ed, as to their duties, student debt trends, things of that nature. I think it kind of is what it is, but
So if you're okay with that, then
yeah,
we're
I'm fine
going
with
to,
it.
we're going
It's
to
consistent
conform
with
it
everything
to,
else we've been doing.
we're going to conform it to what we passed out of here under the DeStef bill.
That's fine.
So there's a motion is second that we conform the bill. All those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no, and the bill is conformed. Is there a motion on the bill as amended and sent to finance?
Move to report.
Report and re-refer to finance. All those in favor record your votes aye. Those opposed, no, and the clerk will close the roll. 15-0, the bill is reported and re-referred to finance. Thank you, Senator Peterson. Next up is House Bill 2685. This is the Military Survivors and Dependents Education Program. We passed this bill under the McPike version. That went up to finance. Is there a motion to conform our bill to their bill? A couple of changes need to. There's a motion and a second that the bill be conformed. All those in favor will say aye. Opposed, no. The bill is conformed. This bill went out of here 1302, so I just wanted to re-alert you to that. Is there a motion on the bill as amended? It's a motion and a second that we report and re-refer to finance. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 14, nays 0.
14-0. The bill is reported and re-referred. Next up is House Bill 2722. This is Senator Barker. This is like your bill. It's a Delegate Watts bill. This is the certificate of public need as relates to continuing care and kind of that exemption down there. The bill, Senator Barker, I understand is to pass as is. Are you okay with that? Senator Watts, are you okay if we pass it as is?
Yes, thank you.
You are. Okay. Is there a motion that we pass the bill? There's a motion and a second that 2722 be reported. All those in favor? Close the roll. Will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll. 15-0, the bill's reported. Thanks for coming by today. Next up is House Bill 2750. This is a version that comes from Toscano. Delegate, hey, welcome. Delegate, you'll recall that we had a version that went out by Delegate Chase. That was 10004. You just want to tell me briefly about your bill. I think our intention is to conform the bill unless we have a really good reason not to.
Okay, well, I hope to give you a really good reason not to.
Okay, all right.
So if you take a look at our two bills, my bill is a one-paragraph bill that has to do with the requirement that the hospitals publish in a conspicuous place the right of a patient to request the cost of a service in advance of that being performed. And actually, that paragraph is the same first paragraph that you find in Senator Chase's bill. Senator Chase's bill goes a little bit farther and has some additional information in it. I would ask that you allow both bills to pass, and I'll tell you why. It has to do with a technical rule of the House. If you place Senator Chase's bill on top of mine, it will be a substitute to my bill. But Senator Chase's bill, in part, is drawn to a separate section of the code, which, under the House rules, might make it not germane to my bill. So you get into this really weird situation where if you put the substitute on my bill, then potentially it's ruled out of order and my bill will die when it goes back to the House.
Got it. So Delegate, I appreciate that. I think we've looked at the Chase version, and we're kind of committed to that. Maybe that one could go away if we didn't do that. Let's, my suggestion, sir, would be, we don't want to hurt your part. If we pass this out and for some reason, because we've ruled it germane, we think that that's
Right.
enough. We think each body rules on germanity themselves. Then maybe if that's a problem, you come back over and we'll think about it at that time. It's early enough in the session.
That
to
would
do
be fine, and Senator Chase and I have been in touch with this. I think we're agreed that the hope is to get both bills out. They'll end up in the code with everything.
So
fine.
let's conform the bills.
Move to
Well,
conform to the
And then
Chase bill.
what I'm saying is, if there's a problem with that down the line, with that, just come back and talk to us, and we'll talk about it, what we do in case they rule it out of order.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
I'd like to move to conform the Toscano bill to the Chase bill.
All right, there's a motion and a second that we conform the bills.
Or is engrossed?
Is there discussion on that? Okay. All those in favor will say aye. Opposed, no. No. All right, given the division, would the noes raise your hand? Okay, and the ayes raise your hand. I've got 4 ayes or so. So the bills are conformed. Delegate, well, because we have proxies, it kind of works, because I've got a bunch of votes.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate it. I just have a worry that this is going to end up killing my bill in the House, which would be kind of odd, but.
Delegate, let me just tell you, I'm going to work with you and make sure
Thank
we
you.
kind of work through it, okay? All those, is there a motion on the bill as amended? To report. There's a motion and a second that we report the bill as amended. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll. We'll work with you.
Thank you.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. The bill is reported. Next up is House Bill 2798. Delegate Garrett's bill. Scott, I had a same version. I'd like to add the clause to our bill. Is that, or I have to send it to finance for the clause, one of the two. We'll work it out.
Yeah, that's fine. Do we have it? It doesn't have fiscal impact in our house.
It did on our side. So
Okay.
There's a,
Yeah,
there's a
whatever you
motion
need to
second that we
do,
add.
whatever you need to do, we'll figure it out.
That's right. We actually put $1 million in our budget to do
Oh,
this.
nice.
Which is cool. We're being nice to you, sir. So there's a motion second, we add the clause to the bill. All those in favor will say aye. Opposed, no. Bill's got the clause on it. Is there a motion to report the bill as amended? All in favor, record your votes aye. Those opposed, no, and the bill. Clerk, close the roll. 15-0, the bill is reported. We can exceed to that coming off once we get the budget. things
Sure.
worked out.
I thank the chairman of the committee.
Okay. All right, continuing on for some bills that are close. Delegate Robinson, where are you? Are you in the room? All right, do you mind coming up for this? All right, if the committee will turn their attention to Delegate Robinson's bill. Before, we had a big discussion, and this is 1652. This is the school opening bill. Before, we had a compromise bill that we had worked on. The delegate has been working on this for how many years you've been working on it?
6, 7.
6 or 7 years, back when she was 25, right? And so what we'd like to do is we'd like to conform this bill to our version of the bill. We are then going to, hopefully, if the committee will allow, hold Delegate Thomas's bill and have more discussions about that one. You want to tell us what you think about that?
If that's the committee wishes, I mean, I really, my bill in all due respect to Senator Chase and the bill that you all passed, was a compromise bill that I didn't see until after it was passed. And so I like the original version of my bill, and I like the original version of my bill, which was a 5-day Labor Day weekend. School divisions get to decide when they start. And all the waivers are protected. So current waivers are protected. We've done some homework on on the waivers, and there are 88 localities that have waivers currently out of the 130 odd number of waivers, and which constitutes 68% of our students in the Commonwealth. So 68% of our students now already fall under a waiver. We like to maintain the 5-day weekend because it was, we've done a little homework on that, and in Virginia Beach on Labor Day weekend, it's the Rock and Roll Marathon, which is full, which fills up pretty much Virginia Beach. There are 8,000 participants, 46 states are represented, 17 countries are represented. It ranges from age 12 to 83 are participants. So you have all kinds of people coming from all over the world to participate, not just Virginia in that. But we can, that 5-day weekend will allow the Virginians to have that extra day to stay at the beach and give patronage to our hotels and our restaurants there. In Williamsburg, Chesterfield, and Henrico, the Virginia Cup soccer tournament is held. There are 200 teams, boys and girls teams, to participate in the Virginia Cup over Labor Day weekend. And again, that's Williamsburg, it's Chesterfield and Henrico. So there's a lot of people who are participating over the Labor Day weekend. So again, we'd really like to maintain that 5-day weekend to give people the chance to enjoy those destinations more as well. Out of the 47 counties and towns who don't take waivers, there are 114 high schools, and they comprise 148,000 students. Well, right now in the Commonwealth, anybody who participates in a fall sport, whether it be cross country, whether it be football, whether it be in the band, out of that 148,000, those students aren't going anywhere in August anyway, and their families, because they're participating in all these other activities. So I would like to keep my original bill in place, but it's the committee's wish how we proceed forward.
Okay, thank you for that. I think we did have a version, but we understand and appreciate you. You've been working on this so long. Is there a motion to conform the bill?
Mr. Chair.
There's a motion, a second. We've confirmed more. Senator
Okay,
Peterson.
before we vote, could I throw a lifeline to the delegate real quick?
Yes, sir.
Can you just briefly, and I understand all the arguments one way or the other, for one reason, I don't have the version that passed. What are the substantive difference between what we passed and what the House passed?
And just to make sure, I'm not, there's one portion I'm not 100%
Okay.
on, but the bill you passed was a 4-day Labor Day weekend with a limitation of 2 weeks prior
We
to
had the
Labor
14
Day.
days.
14 days,
Okay, Mr. Chair, if I might, and yours,
Senator Peterson.
yours is just strictly local discretion
local discretion.
with a 5-day Labor Day.
With a 5-day Labor Day, which is what the current waivers allow, that discretion.
Right. I think that's accurate. Okay. There's a motion second that we conform the bills. All those in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. No. Okay, raise your hand just when we got it. 2 noes. All right, is there a motion on the bill as amended?
I move to report as amended.
So motion is second that the bill be reported as amended. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Thank you.
Yeas 14, nays 1.
So we'll look forward to working with you also if we go to conference.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Yep. Very good. There's also the Delegate Thomas bill, which is the last similar bill, 2140. Delegate Thomas is still working on that. It is a very, very odd case, and without objection, I'd like to ask that bill go by for the day. That bill will go by for the day. The next 2 bills, there's a House Bill 1752. That bill is like the Delegate Chase bill related to schools open in Election Day. And by request, that bill will be going to the Public Education Subcommittee, 1752. The next one is Delegate LaRocque's bill, and by agreement with the patron, the bill will be PBI'd for now. We'll continue to look at the subject matter. Is there a motion to PBI the LaRocque bill? It's motion is second, the bill be PBI'd. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will. Yes. Sure. It is 2574. 2574. The clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 14, nays 0, abstentions 1.
By 1701, the bill is PBI with an understanding from Delegate LaRocque. Okay, and now I think what we will do is the clerk, Patty, who is also having technical difficulties, by the way, she's trying to close the rolls, but they don't close. So we're apologizing for the delay. It's not her, it's the computer. We're now going to go to the sign-up sheet, and so we'll go to that. So if the clerk will help me make sure that we aren't getting redundancy to what we've already deleted. Delegate Bell, do you have another bill which would be
1930.
okay, House Bill 1930?
Yes, Mr.
The committee will bring their attention to 1930. Delegate, you want to tell us about your bill?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. House Bill 1930 is amended, proposes to update the Commonwealth's existing guidelines on a biennial basis for concussion protocols. I'm sure the committee members remember we passed legislation several years ago on concussions and the protocols for identifying those and what to do with them after we did. This bill originally asked for an annual review of that because there had not been a review since 2016. The medical science tells us that an annual review is not necessary. We amended the bill so those reviews be done biennially, and that bill passed the House unanimously.
Okay. So everyone in the committee understands that we're going from an annual review to a biennial review.
Yes, sir.
Any questions to the patron? Is anyone in the audience that feels strongly about this bill? All right, there's a motion. Oh, you want to speak? Yeah, come on forward if you want to speak. Okay, there's a motion second that the bill be reported. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Thank you, Mr.
Yeas
Chairman.
15, nays 0.
15-0, the bill is reported. Thank you for coming by, Delegate Bell. Next up is Delegate Stolle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
What's your bill number again? I'm sorry.
I have three. First up is House Bill 1971.
If the committee will turn their attention to 1971, go ahead, Delegate.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. House Bill 1971 is brought at the request of the department. It corrects the problem of circular mandatory suspensions of licensure. With this legislation, the health professional boards are not required to suspend licensures based solely on the actions taken by another state. Additionally, in this bill, for the Board of Pharmacy, it extends from 30 to 60 days the time period for a hearing after a mandatory suspension.
Okay. All right. Are there those that are here to speak in favor of the bill? Mr. Brown, welcome.
Hi, David Brown, Director of the Department of Health Professions. This bill was at our request. It solves a couple of problems for us, and the governor supports this bill. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Brown, could you give us an example? I mean, what is it that another state would say that they did not want to have them have the license, but we might think otherwise?
And that would be when they took action because we took action. So we say we mandatorily suspend the license.
So it's circular then?
And then later down the road, they take action, and we are required to take action again, and we've already done it once.
That really helps. Thank you.
Okay.
Scott, we're good?
Medical Society supports it.
All right. Anyone opposed to this bill? Is there a motion on the bill? Motion is second that 1971 be reported. All those in favor record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
15-0. Bill is reported. Delegate Stolle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next bill up is House Bill 1920. House Bill 1920 comes at the recommendation of JLARC. It directs that the New Economy Workforce Credential Grant Program give priority to workforce training programs in high-demand fields currently unmet by available workforce.
So here again, we're hoping today is easy day. This bill basically, Senator Ruff, I talked to him about your bill. He's fine. It just concentrates it to the areas that we need the workforce the most. The bill would need to go to finance if we report it. Is there anyone opposed to this bill? Is there a motion on the bill? There's a motion that we report and re-refer 1920. All those in favor record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
15-0, the bill is reported. Delegate Stolly.
Mr. Chairman, the next bill is House Bill 2026. House Bill 2026 is dealing with newborn screening. Cytomegalovirus affects 1 out of every 200 births. The incidence is higher than any other currently screened newborn disease. Congenital CMV is associated with long-term neurodevelopment disabilities, including hearing loss. HB 2026 requires that infants who fail the newborn hearing screening test be evaluated for cytomegalovirus.
Okay, very good. So is there anyone here to speak in opposition to the bill? It could have a fiscal impact, so we're going to have to send it upstairs, but I think it's in good shape, Delegate. 2026? So let me tell the committee what's happening. These bills that are revenue bills, they have to go out today or they're kind of cooked. So we've got to do this. We've got to get them to finance. If you have your iPad or if you want them to go by, let me know. We'll do either one. So if there's any question about a bill that, and there were only 4 that we had to bring in at the last minute, let us know. Are you guys okay? Okay. There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported and re-referred. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Thank you,
Yeas
Mr.
15,
Chairman.
nays 0.
15-0. I wonder, for the committee's sake, if you have your computers with you, Tom, could you give us the numbers of the bills? If I could have your just attention, the numbers of the bills that we have to deal with today, but you may not have seen on your report. Tom, what are the numbers of those bills?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. HB 1611, Delegate Landis's bill about pricing reserves of college savings plans. Y'all had sent that earlier, just a re-referral to finance. Delegate Stolly's 2026, which you all just heard. House Bill 2113, which was a Delegate Murphy bill dealing with veteran withdrawal from public institutions of higher education. And then the Delegate Torian bill, which you all heard, HB 2685, which you conformed to Senator McPike's version, SB 1173, and you all sent that upstairs.
Okay. Everyone understand those bills? If you have any question, or we could have a special meeting if we have to, if you want to slow down hard for those bills. Okay, very good. Next up is Delegate Garrett. Delegate Garrett, you have 2 bills, I think, sir?
I do, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much. I'll draw the committee's attention to House Bill 1803. 1803. You've seen this bill each of the last number of years. This is language. This basically just it's a continuation work we've done to get these K2 and spice and these various different bioorganic chemicals off of our streets. This would codify the actions of the Board of Pharmacy that is already scheduled on Schedule 1, 13 opiates, 11 hallucinogenics, 1 central nervous system depressant, 2 CNS stimulants, 2 cannabinoid agents, and 1 hallucinogenic that would be scheduled on Schedule 2. The work has already been done by the Board of Pharmacy. If we don't codify those actions within 18 months of their action, then they no longer are scheduled. That's
Okay.
basically what the bill does.
Is there anyone here to speak in opposition to the bill? Senator Donovan, you've looked at these drugs and they all are in that federal guideline. Any questions by the committee? There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
15-0, the bill is reported. Delegate Garrett, you had one more.
I do. I thank the chairman of the committee. We also have House Bill 1878. This was brought to me by the director of our regional, Blue Ridge Regional Jail, Tim Trent, Mr. Chairman, in our area. to add the employees of regional jails to the list of individuals who may possess and administer naloxone or other opioid antagonists as long as they've completed a training program. As you know, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, we have a number of first responders that are on this list of folks that can possess and administer naloxone, and this would add regional jailers that oftentimes have got to pat down suspects and also for the inmates and for their own health concerns.
Okay, does everyone understand the bill? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition to the bill? All right, everyone understand, we're adding one more to the list in this case, and there's a motion and a second that the bill be reported, that being 1878, adding regional jail employees. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
15-0, the bill's reported. Thanks,
I do
Scott.
thank the chairman and the committee.
Okay. Next up is Delegate Carr. Welcome back. What's your bill today?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. It's 2057.
All right, committee will turn attention to 2057. Go ahead, Delegate.
This bill removes the current statutory requirement that the central office and facilities of the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner be located in the city of Richmond. The bill comes at the recommendation of the OCME. Both the OCME and the Department of Forensic Science have outgrown their space in the central laboratory building, forcing current employees to work in limited space. In 2014, DFS was authorized to begin space programming and schematic design work for the renovation and expansion of the central laboratory facility for DFS and OCME. However, in 2018, it was determined that the scope of such renovation expansion at the current location would be prohibitively expensive and not allow for any future growth or expansion. Affordable land for a new facility may not be available within the city of Richmond. Passage of this bill will allow construction of a new facility for DFS and the OCM outside of the city of Richmond if such a move proves to be necessary.
Okay, is anyone here to speak in opposition to the bill? Allows the chief medical examiner to get out of town. Is there, that's right, there's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. All those in favor record your votes aye, those opposed no, and the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
15-0, the bill is reported. Thank you,
Thank you,
Doug.
Mr.
Thanks for
Chairman.
coming by today. Up next is Delegate Pillion. You had another bill before us, sir.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. And there are some amendments before you, or a substitute before you, I think.
All right, so the committee will turn their attention to 2557, House Bill 2557. The clerk will report, well, there's a substitute, so is there a motion on the substitute? There's a motion second that the substitute be adopted. All those in favor say aye. Those no, and the substitute. Delegate, I've not seen the substitute, so help me out.
Okay, so the substitute basically strikes redundant drug of concern language and provides that warehouses, actually in Senator Dunavant's district, I think, McKesson, have a year to comply with the storage requirements in the bill.
Okay, are there questions about House Bill 2557? Is anyone here to speak in opposition to the bill? You want to say something briefly in favor, or you're in favor? Okay, good. Everyone understand the bill? Is there a motion on the bill? There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported with a substitute, which is 2557. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. The clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
15-0, the bill's reported. Thank you, Delegate,
Thank you,
for coming by. Thank you very much. Up next is Delegate Rush. Welcome, Delegate.
Morning.
Nice to have you here again. You have
House Bill 1738.
House Bill 1738. Okay, there's a substitute. Is there a motion on the substitute? Is there a second on the substitute? There's a motion and a second that the substitute be agreed to. All those in favor will say aye. Opposed, no. And the substitute's agreed to. Now, Delegate, I think we've reviewed this one, but why don't you give us a primer on what it does?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. This was a recommendation of the House Select Committee on School Safety, which I chaired the Infrastructure Committee. And this allows an architect or, in the substitute allows a consultant who's been trained in crime prevention and building security to sign off on any remodels or new construction, just so that we're getting, making sure that our schools are as safe as possible.
So it's getting ahead of the problem on this construction or flow side before it happens, is that right?
Yes,
Is there
Mr.
anyone
Chairman.
that came here to speak in opposition to the bill? Any questions about the bill? There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
15-0, the bill is reported.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Is there another Delegate Landis bill left that I'm unaware of? Yeah, what else did you have, sir?
Mr. Chairman, I've got House Bill 1729.
Okay, that's the change in the name bill, right? Okay, everyone will turn their attention to 1729. Donovan.
And, Mr. Chairman, House Bill 1729, I don't think there was a Senate companion. This is a recommendation of the Select Committee on School Safety, and I actually chaired the Student Behavior and Intervention Subcommittee, and this was one of our top recommendations. Basically, this would require that each counselor employed by a school board in our public elementary or secondary schools spend 80% of their time during normal school hours in direct counseling for students or groups of students. It also updates the nomenclature from calling these guidance counselors to school counselors so that the code is clear that that's what we're talking about. And Madam Chairman, that is exactly what the bill does.
Is there anybody that wishes to speak against the bill? All right, very good. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd move to report the bill.
Thank you. Moved and reported, all in favor? Please record your votes now. Did you get mine? And close the vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Yeas
Madam
15,
Chairman.
nays 0.
Thank you, Delegate Landis. Oh, great. Okay. All right, I think, is Delegate Wilt here? Very good. Just following the list. Patty, do you have a pen or pencil? Thanks. Delegate Wilt, thank you so much. What bill do you have with us today?
Madam Chair, House Bill 2449. If the chair and the committee remembers last year, we, as the General Assembly and the governor, signed House Bill 1. It was the Student Information Privacy Bill. And after we implemented it, some institutes of higher learning got along fine. Some had some problems. The problem seemed to be internal workings. Like if an instructor was going to do a group project, they got caught up and having to send out notices individually. This bill would allow them to do it as a group, to share that information for anything on internal operations and so forth.
Very good. Are there any questions for the delegate? Anybody that wishes to speak against the bill? Thank you very much. Do I have a motion? Moved and seconded. I'm going to open the voting. I'm having, I need Newman's. Tom. Okay, very good. Got it. Thank you. Delegate Wilt, sorry for the confusion here. Do you have another bill before us?
No, thank you,
Very
Madam
good.
Chair.
Thank you very much. Okay, Delegate Price.
2449.
Madam Chair,
Thank you. Yes, sir.
just briefly, I have to go present, and because of this current situation, I've sent my proxy to you, understanding the current complexity.
Right.
I just wanted to draw your attention
Y'all on your toes over
for
there?
the situation.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, Delegate Price, what bill do you have before us today?
I have House Bill 2035.
Very good. Thank you so much. And tell us a little bit about 2035,
Sure.
please.
Madam Chair and members of the committee, currently Virginia Code prohibits the dissemination of information about criminal background checks unless there is an exception. And right now, the only exception for DMAS providers is transportation providers. So other DMAS providers are both legally required to verify they had their background check and also legally restricted from sharing that proof of the background check with DMAS if they're not a transportation provider. As you are fully aware, over the years, DMAS has expanded their provider network, and many of these providers work directly with our most vulnerable populations. So by only having the exemption for transportation providers, other medical providers have obstacles in undergoing these DMAS audits. So HB 2035 would allow for other types of providers to share proof of the background check was done with DMAS as they are legally required to do. And I have representatives of DMAS with me to answer any questions.
Okay, Delegate, we've looked at this bill earlier. I think we understand it, but if DMAS would like to come up and just give us a quick primer on their thoughts on it, that would be just fine. Yes, sir, welcome.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Brian McCormick. I'm the Policy Director for DMAS. We have been seeing a number of appeals in which there's been confusion among the providers about what they can and cannot share. We don't want to ding honest providers in our audits. We have had a number of providers who felt that they couldn't release any information with regard to the criminal background check. We don't require providers to give us the official background information. This bill clarifies for our providers that they only need to give us two things, and that is proof that the background check was requested and that the results were negative. Thank you.
All right, very good. Does the committee understand this, this bill? Any questions about the bill? Is there a motion on the bill? All right, there's a motion second that 2318 be reported. All those in favor record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Thank you.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
15-0, the bill is reported. All right, up next, and I was out of the room for just a minute, but I think that Delegate Price, are you here? Oh, is that? Okay, very good. Delegate Robinson, did you have another bill? Okay, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is House Bill 2563. Right, currently there are testing strips for to test drugs to see if they can contain fentanyl and fentanyl analogs. And this bill would just take those testing strips off of contraband paraphernalia list so that someone can have access to them. They can purchase them hopefully in the pharmacies so that if you are an addict, you can at least test your drugs to see if they are containing fentanyl. And that's all that the bill does. It takes it off the contraband list.
Okay, we understand. It's similar to the Scott Garrett bill, but on the other side. Is there anyone here that's to speak in favor or opposition to the bill?
I don't think there is.
I think it's pretty straightforward. Is there a motion on the bill? There would be a motion on the bill. There's a motion to report. All those in favor record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
15-0, the bill is reported. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming by. Very good. Next up, we will have Delegate Plum. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have House Bill 2158.
All right, we will turn our attention to 2158, another list bill, right?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, a couple of bills ago, you had Delegate Garrett's bill that added the regional jails to the naloxone list,
Yep.
and this adds emergency EMTs.
That's right. Okay, anyone here in opposition to the bill? Is there a motion on the bill? There's a motion second that the bill be reported. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Thank you very much.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
15-0 is bill reported. Thank you, Delegate, for coming by. Next up is Delegate Bagby here.
Yes.
Welcome, Delegate. Hey, Delegate Bagby, welcome. Thank you, sir. Which bill do you have today, sir?
House Bill 2228.
All right, we'll turn our attention to House Bill 2228.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. This bill accomplishes two goals. It will re-stagger the expiration date of regulatory boards members by authorizing one or more appointment in certain years for terms of less than 4 years. This maintains the valuable board experience of knowledgeable board members but decreases the number of terms expiring in 1 year. Mr. Chair, it also does a couple things like releases them from having their board members only in January.
Okay. All right. Okay. Anyone here to speak in opposition to the bill? Okay, Delegate, I think I'm okay. I do have a question about the Board of Psychology, but I'll work with you on that between now and the floor if it goes up. Okay. That's
sure.
All right. You're in favor?
It's going to answer any questions.
Okay. Anyone here in opposition to the bill? If not, is there a motion on 2228? There's a motion second that House Bill 2228 be reported. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll. I'm just going to, if you could mark me
Yea,
as
15, nay,
abstain, please. Just mark me as abstain if you don't mind, clerk. So it'd be 14-01, and we'll be fine. We'll talk about it there.
Thank you.
The bill is reported. Okay, next up would be Delegate Knight. Pat.
Mr. Chairman, House Bill 1725.
Our attention 1725, Building Code. Delegate, welcome. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, sir. 1725 says that each school board shall develop a plan with state or local fire marshals and local building officials that all security enhancements are in state compliance.
All right, it is a straightforward bill. Any question, anyone here in opposition to the bill? Anyone? All right, there's a motion and a second that we report the bill. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
15-0, the bill's reported. Thanks for coming by.
Thank you, sir.
Next up is Delegate Thomas. You just had one bill left, sir, is that right?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, House
And that-
Bill 2137.
2137. All right, Delegate, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had a constituent who works at the Disability Resource Center in Fredericksburg make me aware this summer that many of our friends in the deaf and hard of hearing community find the term hearing impaired to be offensive just because it's in a negative light and it focuses on something that they do not have. House Bill 2137 would replace the term hearing impaired and its variations with deaf or hard of hearing or hearing loss throughout the Code of Virginia. It also would rename the Virginia Hearing Impairment Identification and Monitoring System as the Virginia Hearing Loss Identification and Monitoring System. Words matter greatly to this community, and Virginia would actually become the 6th state to address this concern. So hopefully the committee will see fit to do so.
Okay, very good.
Mr.
Renaming
Chairman?
bill. Senator Howell.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Have you gotten any pushback on this? Because the people that I know and care about in the hearing impaired community believe being called deaf is an insult.
Since the bill has passed the House, we've had a lot of positive response on social media. I was made aware that there's this nationwide push to at least remove the term hearing impaired. And there's a lot of documentation on that. And I believe somebody from the department came on the House side as well. I'm not sure if they're here in favor of the bill.
Can we hear from some from the department if they are here?
Mr. Chair.
I don't know.
Okay. Senator Howell, does that complete your question for
Mr.
right
Chair.
now, at least?
Yeah, it doesn't really reassure me,
I
but
understand. Senator Peterson.
Well, I noticed the phrase speech impaired, which probably in an earlier generation you may have called dumb, D-U-M-B, which clearly we don't use anymore, but is speech impaired similarly I mean,
I
I
don't
don't
wanna-
see how hearing impaired could be offensive and speech impaired not be offensive.
I don't want to speak to that specifically because I'm not advocating for the group on that issue. It's for the group that's pushing this issue on a nationwide basis to try to remove it from code through all the states.
Okay, and I just want to say, I've got a deaf community in my community and didn't hear anything about this, so.
So this, Delegate, I think the desire is just to get it right? So let us just maybe, Senator
We
Howell,
can pass it by for the day.
if we could just let it go by for the day, we'll work with it. I'm sure we can work it out, but if we can just get the advocacy groups just to weigh in, because we've had bills from Senator Edwards and others, and, we just want to do it right. I know
do
you
wanna
do
get it right.
too.
I appreciate that.
All right, without objection, the bill will go by for the day. Thank you, Delegate. Delegate Krizik, I want to apologize to you. You were up a couple of delegates ago, and I jumped over you, and I apologize to you for that. So go ahead, sir.
I have two bills.
Okay.
And I would like to start with 1938. It's an agency bill that just changes the definition of a blind person in Virginia. It's been decades since this language has been updated, and the new definition replaces those outdated methods for determining blindness, and it will be in line with the federal, with the Social Security Administration, their definition that they use.
Okay. Very good. Is there anyone to speak in opposition to the bill? Any sensitivities on this one? Are we good? Okay. There's a motion and a second that the bill, that being 1938, be reported. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. The clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
The bill's reported 15-0. Delegate, you have also 1936.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Let's see. That one will have to go to Finance, sir, but why don't you give us the primer on that one, and we'll.
Okay, really quickly, foreign service officers, that work under the State Department are deployed frequently, making it difficult for them to establish any kind of residency in this Commonwealth. And like active and retired military personnel that have a one-year requirement, or they get the one-year requirement waived for in-state tuition, for example. This would expand that opportunity for foreign service officers and their families. However, it was amended so that there is a 90-day requirement that they be here in residency for 90 days prior to that.
Okay. Very good. Everyone understand 1936 as it relates to foreign service officers and tuition. All right. The bill does have to go to Finance. Anyone here that has some concerns about the bill? Seeing none, is there a motion on the bill? So motion is second that 1936 be reported. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
15-0, the bill is reported. Thank you, sir, for coming by. Sorry about delaying you as well. Next up, Delegate Marshall, I know we had that one bill that we don't have, that we thought was a revenue bill that's not a revenue bill, but what's your other bill, sir?
So it's House Bill 1835, and this is by request from former Delegate Don Merrick, who is now chair of the ILR, simple bill that only allows the Institute for Advanced Learning and Research in Danville to call their current, he is now he will be able to be called president or executive director. Okay. So it just adds the title president if they would like to do so.
All right. Anyone here in opposition to the bill? I would ask if anyone's opposed to the president, but I better not do that, right? All right, there's a motion and a second that we report 1835. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
1835, the bill's reported. Delegate, we'll get your bill next week, and not revenue. You're not in danger on that bill.
Okay. Thank you so much.
At least
Have a
from
good
that
day.
perspective. All right, up next is Delegate Hurst. You have 2045, sir. 2045?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, sir.
Good morning to you. House Bill 2045 amends the Code of Virginia to establish a formal definition and requirements for recovery residences operating in Virginia, specifically defining recovery residents, certified recovery residents, and that will enable the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Services to adopt certifying standards for recovery residents as people seeking long-term recovery from an addiction. By having this resource in place, law enforcement, courts, community service boards, and families will be able to know where recovery residences are available to them throughout the Commonwealth. The department will be posting on its website a list of each certified recovery residence.
Does everyone understand the bill?
Just one question,
Yes,
Mr. Chair.
Senator Tudeline.
I think it seems to be the most significant part of the bill is that anyone who advertises, represents, or otherwise implies to the public they are recovery residents would be subject to a fine between $200 and $1,000.
Mr. Chairman, to the Senator, it says that they would imply that they're a certified recovery residents. And so this is really just trying to get a credentialing standard for all of these homes that are out there that some are operated by reputable businesses and companies and individuals. Some of them are a little more fly-by-night. This, though, would only allow for that civil penalty for anybody who would be masquerading as someone who is a certified recovery resident by the department who actually is not.
All right, any other questions about the bill? All right, anyone here in opposition to the bill? Seeing none, there's a motion on the bill. There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll. Thank you, Delegate
Senator.
Hurst. Up next is Delegate Adams. Welcome. You take over, sir. Yeah, you vote all mine. Yep. Delegate Adams.
Good morning, sir, and members of the committee. HB 1849 will allow individuals with developmental disabilities, especially those who have left training centers in conjunction with the settlement agreement between the Commonwealth and the Department of Justice, to receive dental care by adding DBHDS employees to the current code, who have dental hygienists as employees to provide care with remote supervision within their scope of practice. And as outlined, as outlined in protocols jointly developed by the Virginia Department of Health and in consultation with the Virginia Dental Association.
Mr. Chair.
Senator Peterson.
Delegate, how you doing?
Oh, thank you, sir. I'm hanging in there.
I want to tell you, your team collapsed without you in the second half.
Oh, I'm sure that was the case.
That's great to know. Any questions of the patron with the committee? All right, it's been moved and seconded. We report House Bill 1849. All in favor, vote aye on electronic voting board.
Thank you very much. Oh, is that not?
Bill is reported.
Thank you.
I don't have a vote. There it is. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next, Delegate Rome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is for HB 2400. So, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, HB 2400 increases access to online free and reduced price school meal applications by requiring school districts to prominently post a link to an application on their website. As a reference point, school districts may use the option of adopting the U.S. Department of Agriculture's web-based free and reduced meal application prototype that's open source coding. And alternatively, school districts may digitize their existing paper copies. So this basically means that there's no cost to either the state or the locality in order to do it, as every school division already has an IT staff in place. So this would be as simple as saving the current paper application as a fillable PDF document and making it available for use online with, again, no physical impact. The handout that we have coming out to y'all, you can see from Harrisonburg City and Chesapeake City Public Schools how they're already in compliance with this. Basically, we're just making sure that you have as much access for people to be able to get online. But in school districts where it's, where the people who would be most likely to be applying for free and reduced lunch don't have internet access, they would still have this paper access. And we've gotten comment from one of our teacher in Spotsylvania, for example, who's told me she can count on one hand how many times the paper copies ever come back to her. So
Sure. Is anyone here in opposition? I mean, you're just allowing it to be online, right? Is that what we talked about?
so sorry. Yes, just put it online. Yeah.
All right, no one is in opposition. There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will, mine won't vote. Ours won't vote for some reason. We're having a technical problem. Will the clerk destroy the roll and we'll try again? Okay, so, who's got Cosgrove's?
Open enrollment.
Hold, wait just a second, let me just. Just to the clerk, there we are. Now okay, now we're good. All right, there's a motion and second that the bill be reported. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
15-0 is the bill reported. Thanks for coming by today.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members.
Next up is a Delegate Simon here? Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, members of the committee.
Yes, sir. What is your bill number?
House Bill 2297, and I believe there's a substitute.
Could you give me that number again?
Yes, sir. House Bill 2297.
Hold on just one moment. Okay, that's the eligibility one. Okay, 2297. Delegate, go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, what this bill does is those situations where, and we have this a lot in Arlington, Falls Church, and Fairfax, where somebody owns property and the house is in one county, but the property, maybe the backyard, is in another county. For a while, the law was they had to live in they go to school where the house was. Then we made some changes to the code, which allowed those folks to actually go to either jurisdiction if any part of the property, even if the house was in one county, if they had a backyard in Arlington, they'd go to school in Arlington. This bill means to set it back to what it was before, which is you go to school where the house is, where the dwelling unit is. So if you have property in another jurisdiction, you got to go to school where the property is. What the substitute does is it adds a clause that allows anybody who's currently enrolled in a different school system under the old provisions to stay there for just as long as their kids are still enrolled in that school. But anybody who buys that house next would have to go under the new rules.
Okay. Anyone here in opposition to the bill? All right, well, welcome. Come on forward. No, you have, just come forward. If you'd give us your name and your concern about the bill, that would be helpful.
Hi, my name is Molly Savage, and I'm a I'm a constituent from Senator Favola's office, and I just have a quick question for Delegate Simon, and that's whether or not the amendment to the original bill would include siblings of the currently enrolled children, so that any child that's not yet enrolled with school was allowed to follow an older sibling into the current school system.
Okay. Delegate, do you understand? Delegate, go ahead.
Sure. Can I defer to counsel on that?
Mr. Chair?
Okay, wait, let me just make sure. Yeah, Senator Peterson. Go
Let
ahead.
me make sure I understand this. Basically, you live in the school division where your house is located unless you or a sibling attended the school prior to July 1, 2019, in which case you're, to use the phrase, grandfathered. Is that correct?
That's the intention, yes.
I wish we could say that more simply. Then this language is just
All right, so
like
Senator
Cyrillic or
Peterson,
something.
Senator Peterson, I
Does
think you're
say
right. Can we have this bill go by for the day? No problems I don't know of. There may be some problems with other members, but as I look at it, I think Senator Peterson's right. So we'll just buy for the day, and we'll work with you to get it right.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator,
Just if I may, as you're working on it, I just want to understand why this is necessary and why we keep flipping this back and forth on the residents that are out there. It seems like we're making it really hard for them to understand where they're allowed to go to school. And so I just want to make sure this is a necessary and appropriate bill, because it's when you change the rules constantly that it's so hard on families.
so what we're going to do is, Delegate, to get this worked out right, we'll send it to the Public Ed Subcommittee. I tried to get the ones that just were very, very quick and easy, and this one's just got a few questions. So we'll send this to the Public Ed Subcommittee, and without objection, the bill will go by for the day. But thank you very much for your help. All right, up next, Delegate Bourne. Kathy, come here. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Can you give us your number here?
Yes, it is House Bill 2215.
All right, committee will turn their attention to 2215, okay, relating to immunizations. Welcome.
Yes, sir. Thank you. House Bill 2215 amends the TDAP school immunization requirement from 6th to 7th grade. In April of last year, the CDC Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices updated recommendations to suggest that this vaccine required or received younger than 11 to 12 years of age is no longer considered valid adolescent dose. So House Bill 2215 simply changes the time by which we require kids to have this vaccine before they enter school.
Okay. Anyone here in opposition to the bill? Siobhan, I know we've talked about this Does this work for us?
Yeah, immunity is age-dependent, lifelong immunity, so this is a good move.
Okay. The bill is before us. Is there a motion on the bill? There's a motion and a second that the bill, that being 2215, be reported. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeas 14, nays 0.
14-0, the bill passes. Okay, up next, if we could go back to our sign-up sheet, and is there Delegate Gooditis here? Did I pronounce that correctly? If so, I apologize.
You did.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
What bill did you have?
This is HB 2720,
Right,
and it has to do with school safety grants.
that's right. Yes.
It gives schools more flexibility to use school safety grants for brick and mortar projects. To this point, the grants have been used for security equipment, and this would allow, like in my county, little older elementary schools to do things like build secure vestibules. So this comes from the Public School Security Equipment Grant Act from 2013.
Yeah, so Delegate, is it reasonable to say that sometimes the vestibules and other areas are important to school security? Is that why we're doing this? Is that correct? I think
Extremely.
it is, yeah. All right, is anyone here in opposition to the bill? Is there a motion on the bill? There's a motion and a second that the bill, that is House Bill 2720, be reported. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Thank you.
Ayes 15, nays 0.
15-0, the bill is reported. Thank you for coming by today.
Thank you.
Delegate Murphy. Hello, welcome. Thank you for waiting so long.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
It wasn't on. Okay, so Delegate Murphy, your bill number
It's
is,
2113.
so we'll slow down a little bit to 2113. We talked earlier that this is one of those bills that's got to go to finance, and we're going to have a problem if we don't get it moving soon. So Delegate, why don't you explain your bill and how it relates to the veterans students, and then we'll hear testimony in favor and opposition because it wasn't on our docket originally, and then we'll vote on the bill.
Well, HB 2313 is a bill that allows veterans to withdraw from a class for service-related medical purposes without losing their GI benefits. So if they have PTSD issues, they can withdraw. They don't lose their veteran benefits, and at a later time, they can go back into school. It's a pretty simple bill.
All right.
And when we presented it in the House, they said that any cost would be de minimis, was the word.
Okay.
And so I don't think that that it should be a problem.
Okay, I understand. I think they've requested it up there. They're not doing that to hurt the bill. They're just going to review the fiscal impact. Yeah, I think we're probably in good shape. Is there anyone here to speak either in favor or in opposition to the policy of the bill? Yes, ma'am, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. Carrie Ann Alford, Policy Director for the Department of Veterans Services. We are in support of this bill and anything that helps our student veterans. Every school has a state certifying official. They work closely with our state approving agency. Unfortunately, they are in DC today at their national conference and couldn't be here. And the SAA does believe that the schools, while we're not speaking for them, should be able to absorb this as part of their administrative duties. They're simply, it's almost like moving your money back and forth between checking and savings. You're just moving it from the student's account for the class and then moving it back to their GI Bill account for them to use at a later date and not have to lose it.
Great.
Thank you.
Anyone else here speak in favor or anyone that has any concerns about the bill? I think the policy is noble. If someone has PTSD, they fought for our country, and they have a problem with school, it allows for the refund back to their account.
Yeah, we're just really trying to protect their GI benefits for them.
All right, there's a motion and a second that the bill be reported and re-referred to finance. All those in favor record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll. Thanks for coming by. Ayes 15, no 0. The bill is reported. The next, it's hard to read, I think, is it Delegate Torin, is that right? We've already done, it. Okay. McGuire, are you here? Delegate McGuire? Well, thank you. I know you've been here for a while, so let's pull up your bill. What do you have here left?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is House Bill 2318. We all know the opioid crisis is destroying lives in Virginia and our nation. And over the last couple of years, the General Assembly has passed legislation to authorize folks to use naloxone, but it did not authorize teachers and other school health services providers. So this bill simply adds school nurses and other school health services providers to a list of folks authorized to store and administer naloxone and other opioid antagonists as long as they have the proper training.
All right, does everyone understand the bill? I think it's pretty straightforward. Is there anyone here to speak in favor or opposition to the bill? Hearing none, the bill is moved. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll. Senator Howell.
Yeas 14, nays 0.
14-0, the bill is reported. Thanks for coming by. Sorry for the wait.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, so we do have one more bill. It's very straightforward on our docket. It is House Bill 2699. It is Delegate McQuinn's bill. It just adds members to the tax force. Tom, why don't you just, we won't normally do this, but why don't we just get a quick primer from it, and if the committee feels comfortable with it, we'll deal with it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Delegate McQuinn's bill adds 2 members, as you said, to the task force under the Virginia Foundation for the Humanities that is tasked with identifying the history of formerly enslaved African Americans in Virginia and determining ways to preserve that history. It adds 2 members, at least one of whom shall be the president of a historically black college or university. And then the executive director of the Virginia Tourism Authority, the chairman of the board of trustees of the Virginia Outdoors Foundation, or their designees. So it's 3 members, excuse me, but that is the bill, Mr. Chairman.
All right, is there anyone in the audience that is either here in favor or in opposition to the bill? Okay, no comment by the committee. All right, there's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
15-0, the bill is reported. So if you just wait just a second with that. Tom, what else do we have? Is that what we have on this thus far?
I believe that completes your docket, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so guys, we did take up as much as we could today. We got, I don't know, about 50 bills today. Next meeting, we'll have close to 50 bills, but they won't be quite this non-controversial potentially. So we'll try to get in early tomorrow, next week, and move forward. I apologize for bringing you in at 8 o'clock to be out at 9:30, but given the simplicity of these bills, it worked. So with that, the other thing is the subcommittees. Number of you that have subcommittees, it's going to be a very, very busy time this week, but we need you to complete all of your work this time and get back to you. Carrico, you're thinking about meeting on Monday, is that right, sir?
Yes, but I have today, this afternoon, and whatever we don't get through, we're going to try to do on Monday morning.
Mr. Chairman, I have an announcement.
Senator Saslaw.
Yeah, we only have, at least right now, one bill. We may wind up with others, so we're not, the subcommittee on higher ed will not meet today, but will next week.
Okay. And you will not be getting any more bills. We dealt with all your other bills on the floor.
We'll do it
So it's
just
good.
in case
Okay.
next week.
Very good. Anything else? If not, the committee will rise.